Hey guys, so in the last couple of videos, we went over a targeting strategy in detail. We talked about how to find the different segments that you service based on why they do business with you. We then talked about what market tier will you service. Are you a premium brand? Are you a mainstream brand? Are you an economic brand? Then we discussed, is a niche or a majority strategy best for you? And then we looked at some of your top segments and developed a buyer persona out of them. So what I want to do today is I want to give you a couple of examples. You see, I know that especially if you're a new entrepreneur or you're new to business, a lot of this can be overwhelming. And what I want to do today is I just want to take it step by step and show you exactly how some major companies were able to implement this strategy. Because now if you can see how other people are implementing the strategy, now maybe you could be able to do it yourself. All right, so this right here is a targeting strategy template that all of our subscribers have access to. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel because we got business tips that come out on an ongoing basis. All right, so the company I want to start with today is Facebook. Now, obviously, the parent company is Meta. They also own Instagram, and they do a lot with virtual reality. But what I want to focus on is Facebook, the social media platform, when it first came out. And how did this small organization built in a small dorm turn into one of the world's largest companies? All right. So the first part of your targeting strategy is the segments. What segments are you going after? So I want you to think is turn of the century, early 2000s, in that dorm room at Harvard University, when Facebook first started to launch, who was their segment? Why were people looking to use this platform? What was so unique about it? All right. So when we look at the why, the basic reason why Facebook was created and the basic reason why people were going to use this platform is to connect with each other. You might see someone that you've interacted with in a class. You have not been able to get their contact information, but you would still love to connect with an individual. You might want to share some pictures so that other people can see what you have going on. All right. Basic elements of connectivity. That's why people wanted to use this platform. And now we kind of take it for granted because social media is all over the place. But before social media came about, really connecting with individuals within a university setting was really limited. You had to get their phone number and that's it. And it might be weird going up to someone and saying, hey, I think you're in one of my class. How can I get your phone number? Or even if you had someone's number, hey, I was in class with you a couple of months ago. How you doing today? Right? It can get really awkward and weird at times. What social media did is it took that away. If you were in a group with someone in a class and you really enjoy the person, they were a cool person, you wanted to interact with them, now you can do so in a more less aggressive manner. It is non-aggressive, it is very passive, very interactive. So now, who are these individuals? Who are these individuals that Facebook targeted first? Now, notice how I asked you first, not who they're targeting today. Who do they target first? And notice how I have Harvard University students. And that's it. I only have students at Harvard. Why did I leave the strategy at this? Well, here's something I want you to think of. Your resources as a business owner is limited. You do not have unlimited funds to advertise. You do not have unlimited funds to manufacture various solutions. You do not have unlimited funds for storage. So when we're talking about a social media platform, back-end platform solutions, they run on servers. They did not have money. They only had a limited access of server capacity that they could actually use to create this platform. So what does that mean? That means they cannot even advertise or release their platforms to vast majority individuals of people if they wanted to. They don't have the resources for it. So when they first started, All they started out was with the theme of connecting individuals and connecting students at Harvard University. So now we also want to know is how are different people within this segment connected with each other? Well, they're obviously in the same classes, they're in the same dorms, they're in the same groups, they might even be in the same sports teams. Now here's something that's interesting. I only have one segment. That's it. I only have one segment down. Now you might be saying, hey, why don't you have 5 different segments? Well, they did this and they did that. They grew into it. You might be a business that has such limited resources, you need to focus on one segment first. And you may need to divert all of your energy and all of your resources and all of your capacity in gaining market share on that one segment. Now, you might be a business that might be able to manage multiple segments at once. That's fine. Every business is different. What is better for you? This is just an example of what Facebook did. They focused on one segment first. Okay, so now that we have our segment classified, remember, in this example, I'm only using one. I'm not even going into more. What happened next? Well, now we got to decide, are you a premium, mainstream, or economic brand? This is very easy. How much did Facebook cost? 0. So what do we go with? It is an economic brand. It did not cost any money whatsoever for people to use that platform. Okay, now we get into niche. This is where we can start to expand a little bit, right? So what we want to do is we want to ask ourselves, who will do business because it's you or new? So remember, who would do business because it's you? Well, these individuals who are creating this platform, they went to Harvard University. They have access to people at Harvard. They are in the same classes as people as Harvard. They have email addresses of people at Harvard. It's pretty obvious. What would we start with? Harvard University students, right? But here's an interesting question. Once I solidify Harvard University students, where do I go to next? And remember how we said people who are connected. How are people connected within your segment? And one of the reasons we want to do this is because how can one segment lead us to another segment? All right? How can one segment lead us to another segment? Well, Harvard is in the Ivy League. So by nature, who are Harvard students interacting with? Well, if you are on a sports team at Harvard, what other teams are you playing? People within the Ivy League. If you are in a group at Harvard, what other groups is that group interacting with? People in the Ivy League. There are many different functions of different colleges in the Ivy League interacting with each other. So it's only natural that once we interact with one university in that group, that should be able to advance us into other universities in that group. Here's the important lesson here for your business. What segments are you interacting with now? How will they lead you to other segments? For example, if you're engaging, let's say, in independent real estate agents, who can they lead you to? Are they going to business networking events with other types of businesses that they can spread word of mouth to potentially get new customers? Are they involved with the chambers of commerce or the SBA or different other types of business organizations? Let's say, for example, you're going after parents. What groups are they associated with? Are they a part of PTAs? Are they homeschooled? They're part of a homeschool association. Do they partake in their child's sporting events? What groups can people lead you to? Here's another example. Let's say you're dealing with college students. Well, eventually, college students are going to graduate and have jobs. Will they eventually bring your solution with them into the workplace? All right? So one of the key things in a targeting strategy, and the reason why we do this, new competitive advantage, is we want to ask ourselves, Who is the most likely target to do business with us today, and who can they catapult us to do business with tomorrow? Right? So you can see that we started with Harvard University students, we started with Ivy League students, and then newest thing, eventually it grew into all universities. So you had to have a .edu email in order to get on Facebook. If you didn't have access to it. So this right here you can see is the first group of individuals that they targeted. All right. Well, now we got to do a buyer persona on this group. So who is this group that we're doing a buyer persona upon? Well, it's primarily college students, right? First it started as Harvard, then it grew to the Ivy League, then it grew to all university students. And if you really want to get technical, what you can do right here is actually update this section. Remember, this should be a working document. It does not have to be stagnant. You put a draft in and you constantly revise it. So now it started off at Harvard, and then we also did the same exact Y, but now what we're doing is we're going to the Ivy League, and then we're going to all .edu students. So all students with a .edu email. All right. So now I want to do a buyer persona primarily on college students. All right. About me. Well, they're college students, probably 18 to 24. They're male and female, and they want to socialize for the most part. All right. So what are their passions? Obviously, they have a lot of different passions. There's so many different groups in college. But what are some universal passions that this segment has? Well, they want to make new friends. They want to get the most out of their college experience. That's just an example, right? What are their goals? Well, they want to probably get a good job. That's why they're in college. They want to start a family probably. And they probably want to stay connected to people that they've interacted with through this college experience. What are some of their problems? Well, they're going to get good grades, hopefully. Hopefully, they're developing contacts that can help them get a job, or they're networking, or they're going on interviews or internships, and they're developing their business network. That could be a problem. And of course, we all remember those days we have those dating problems in the classroom, right? So when you're looking at this broader picture, this gives you an idea of what we're looking at, what the profile is, what the personality is of our target audience. So as a business, what do we do with this? Okay, well, I see passions, making new friends. That's a big thing for them, getting the most out of the college experience. Get a good job. Okay, Facebook, when they first started, I really can't help them with that. Start a family, yep, can't help them with that. Stay connected, I can help them with that. Okay, problems, I'm not going to be able to help them with their grades. Dating, yeah, I'm not giving dating advice on Facebook when it first came out. But you know what? I can help people with their contacts. You see what we're doing here? Now what I'm doing is I'm noticing that there are key elements in this buyer persona I can build my platform around. And I can help it expand. So this right here is the first phase. So now what did I do? Now I have solidified students at Harvard, I've solidified students in the Ivy League, and I've solidified students with a .edu. So who's next? Who do I want to go to next? Well, after a couple of years, if a student was at their university, they had a .edu email address. Now they graduated. Now in the workforce, they don't have their college edu email address anymore. Well, they still want to use Facebook, but they can't because they're not in college anymore. So what happens then? So now what Facebook wanted to do is they wanted to target college graduates who wanted to stay connected. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse this. They wanted people who wanted to stay connected after college. And these right here, they're going to be recent graduates. How are they connected? They could be connected in alumni groups. They get connected between friends. They be connected through groups or sports teams they're a part of. Okay, you guys seeing the point? Who else might we go develop in here? Well, what if these individuals start to grow up and now they have kids and their kids go off to college? Or now these individuals have younger siblings who are now off to college and they actually travel to college. They're no longer in their hometown. Now their parents might want to stay connected with them. So who might another target audience be? Well, maybe the Y is families who live apart, want to stay connected. Okay, so that's another target. Who are they? They could be parents with siblings of people who already used Facebook. How are they connected to each other? They're in the same family. Okay, this is where you start to see the importance of why we do this connect, because pay attention to this. You have a family, let's say there's 3 siblings and there's 2 parents, right? And in this family, no one knew about Facebook. One individual went to a university where Facebook started to spread like wildfire, and the oldest sibling actually started to use it, right? Now let's say the middle sibling, they didn't go to college. They are in, let's say they're in IT or they have a tech job, and they had to move out of state, and they're living in a completely different area. Well, the older sibling remembered, hey, you know what? I had this thing called Facebook where I could actually connect with all of my friends in school. You're living on the other side of the country. Why don't you get it so we can connect with each other? Then maybe the last child actually goes to college and they move off in a different area. So your parents are in one area, sibling 1 is in a different area, sibling 3 a different area. So you have all these different people in the same family living in different areas. Well, because that first person was exposed to Facebook, now what might the entire family do to stay connected? Now you're starting to see the point. Also, look at the recent college grads. Well, who do they connect with? Not only do they connect with alumni associations and friends and groups and sports, but now they're in the workforce. So now they're connected to their coworkers. Now they're connected with their coworkers. You're starting to see why it's so important to be able to identify how different groups of people are connected to each other. Because not only do they expand your market share within the same group, but what they also do is they help you advance into other groups, all right? So I have a couple of more segments over here. I have recent graduates who want to connect after college, and I also have families that want to connect. Well, here's one more thing. All of a sudden, you start to see business owners who see this younger generation of college students and young professionals using this platform, and they're using it actively. Well, when a lot of people use a platform, what would businesses normally try to do? Well, it's a fantastic opportunity to advertise on it. So now you have business associates who want to connect with young professionals, or let's call it YPs, and college students. I'm going to call it CS. Who are these people? They're businesses. Let's say they're businesses with a 18 to 30 demographic as their target audience. And how are they connected with each other? Well, the office. Business functions. Okay, so notice what we've did here. When you first saw this page, you're like, hey, what is this guy doing? There's only one segment. Yeah, it's one segment. We started with one segment. We started small. We focused all of our resources in gaining market share on this one segment. But then look what we did after it. Now that we had this one segment of college students completely saturated, first we focused on Harvard University. We had no money. We had no servers. We had no infrastructure. Let's start off small. Okay, we solidified Harvard University. We now have some servers. We now have some interface. Now we can grow a little bit more. Now we can actually advance into other college students. Okay, we've developed that. Well, guess what? A couple of years has gone by. Now our college students are graduating. Well, does it make sense to still have an EDU email? No, because now they don't have it, and we still want them to use the platform. So now it's opening up to anyone who could use our platform. And you start to see how it begins to develop, all right? So now I can go down. Are we in the same market here? Yeah, Facebook is still free. Now, as far as the ads go, it's still a pretty cost-effective form of advertising, especially if you compare it to broadcast national TV. Okay, now we've added on to this niche a little bit. So what is some of the competitive advantages that we had? Now, Facebook's no longer the newest thing anymore, but there are a couple of advantages that Facebook does have, all right? So number one, recent grads can now connect with people that they've interacted with, right? They can also use it as they enter into the workforce. We now have parents can now connect with their family who now live in different areas. And we now have businesses who now have a new form to advertise. You guys seeing how this is all fitting into place? You see how this is all fitting into place? Now we are where Facebook is now, which is now they turn into a niche, and now they're in the majority. You know, these segments right here, you're still a niche market. You haven't crossed the chasm into a majority market, right? Really, you probably have the tech-savvy parents that are using this right here. You probably have basic, more tech-savvy businesses that are using it. Well, then what happens? Well, once a parent starts using it, maybe now the grandparents want to connect with their families more effectively. So now you have that generation getting onto it. Now you start to see some businesses having success advertising on Facebook. Now other businesses are having success with Facebook. So now you pretty much have the same exact types of segments where you still have parents, now they're grandparents. You still have businesses. Before it was tech-savvy businesses, now other businesses. But what's happening now is because of the social proof, because other people are using it with success, now the masses start to follow through. All right? And now what's interesting is right here where we only had one segment to do a buyer persona on. Now we have college students, recent grads, young professionals, families staying together, businesses to advertise. Now each one of them should have their own buyer persona. And these buyer personas should drive the evolution of the program, the evolution of the solution, as well as guide your marketing communications. And they did that. Now you start to see Facebook, they have groups now, they have marketplace now, they have a lot of different elements of interactions and interconnectability to help satisfy all of these different segments now that they're going after. All right, guys, so that is just a basic strategy of how Facebook used this strategy that you just learned, and hopefully this helps you apply it to your business. All right, guys, hopefully it's helpful. Have a good one.